Jerusalem, an ancient city at the crossroads of history, faith, and conflict. For over 3,000 years, it has been a sacred center for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, drawing pilgrims, scholars, and conquerors alike. From the towering walls of the Old City to the Golden Dome of the Rock, every stone tells a story of devotion, power, and resilience. But how did this city become one of the most revered places on earth? Join us as we explore the extraordinary history of Jerusalem, the city of three faiths. Jerusalem, one of the world's oldest cities, traces its origins to around 3000 BCE. In the early days, it was a small settlement established by the Canaanites on a hilltop that overlooked the surrounding valleys. Its strategic location made it an important center for trade and culture, and over time, Jerusalem grew in prominence. Fast forward to the 10th century BCE, and Jerusalem's destiny changed forever. King David, the legendary ruler of Israel, conquered the city and established it as the capital of the unified Kingdom of Israel. By making Jerusalem his capital, David united the 12 tribes of Israel and laid the groundwork for the city's future importance. But it was David's son, King Solomon, who would leave a monumental legacy. Solomon's reign saw the construction of the first temple, also known as Solomon's Temple, which became the spiritual heart of the Jewish people. The temple housed the Ark of the Covenant, making Jerusalem a central hub for religious practice and pilgrimage. For centuries, Jerusalem would be a focal point for various civilizations, and its significance in religious and political affairs would only grow. But the path of Jerusalem's history would not be without challenges, as the city became a target for conquest by many empires. A monumental achievement that marked the city's place as a religious center. The temple was a magnificent structure, with grand walls adorned with gold and intricate carvings. It was built on Mount Moriah, the holiest site in Judaism, and became the focal point for Jewish worship. The temple wasn't just a physical building. It held immense spiritual significance. It housed the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest that was believed to contain the 10 Commandments, and served as a place where sacrifices were made to God. People from all over the ancient world would travel to Jerusalem to offer their prayers and worship. However, Solomon's reign also marked the beginning of a period of division and turmoil. After Solomon's death in 931 BCE, the Kingdom of Israel split into two separate entities, the Northern Kingdom of Israel and the Southern Kingdom of Judah. Jerusalem remained the capital of Judah, but tensions grew between the two kingdoms, and the city became a point of contention. Despite these divisions, Jerusalem continued to hold its religious importance. The temple remained central to Jewish identity, and its grandeur and sacredness were unrivaled in the ancient world. Yet, the city was not immune to external threats. Jerusalem's fate would soon be tested by powerful empires that sought to control it. By 586 BCE, Jerusalem's glory was shattered. The mighty Babylonian Empire, led by King Nebuchadnezzar II, laid siege to the city. After a long and brutal siege, Jerusalem fell to the Babylonians, and the first temple was destroyed in an act of devastation that left the Jewish people in mourning. The destruction of the temple was a monumental loss, not just for Jerusalem, but for the entire Jewish nation. The Babylonians exiled many of the city's inhabitants to Babylon, marking the beginning of the Jewish diaspora. This period, known as the Babylonian captivity, was a time of deep reflection and sorrow for the Jewish people. Yet, even in exile, the Jewish faith endured. During this time, the Israelites began to solidify their religious practices and beliefs, focusing on their sacred texts and traditions. The destruction of the temple, though tragic, did not erase Jerusalem's significance. It was a city that would eventually see restoration, but it would never be the same. After 70 years of exile, the Persian Empire, under King Cyrus the Great, conquered Babylon and allowed the Jewish people to return to Jerusalem. The temple would eventually be rebuilt under the leadership of Zerubbabel, but the scars of the past remained, as Jerusalem's fate would continue to be shaped by external forces. By 70 CE, Jerusalem faced another calamity, this time at the hands of the Roman Empire. The city had been a hotbed of rebellion, with the Jewish population resisting Roman rule. The Jewish Revolt of 66 to 73 CE culminated in the Roman siege of Jerusalem, which ended in the complete destruction of the Second Temple. The Romans, under Emperor Titus, captured and burned Jerusalem, leveling much of the city and leaving behind a scarred landscape. The temple, which had stood for nearly 600 years, was reduced to rubble, and with it, the heart of Jewish religious practice was torn out. But in the midst of this devastation, something extraordinary was unfolding. In the years leading up to the Roman destruction, a man named Jesus of Nazareth had lived, preached, and been crucified in Jerusalem. For Christians, the death and resurrection of Jesus marked the beginning of their faith, and the city became the birthplace of Christianity. For the next several centuries, Jerusalem would be the epicenter of both Jewish and Christian history. The Christian faith would spread across the Roman Empire, and Jerusalem would become a major pilgrimage site for Christians from all corners of the world. But it was not just Christianity that laid claim to the city's sacred grounds. In the 7th century, Jerusalem entered a new era under Islamic rule. In 637 CE, the city was captured by the Arab Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, marking the beginning of over 1,000 years of Islamic influence in Jerusalem. For Muslims, the city holds deep significance, especially with the construction of the Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount, one of the most iconic and revered landmarks in the Islamic world. The Dome of the Rock, also known as Al-Aqsa Mosque, was completed in 691 CE and is believed to be the site of the Prophet Muhammad's night journey and ascension to heaven. This event is one of the key moments in Islamic tradition and elevated Jerusalem's status as the third holiest city in Islam, after Mecca and Medina. The Muslim control of Jerusalem brought with it a new religious and cultural influence, but the city remained a contested space. Though Islamic rule continued for centuries, Jerusalem would face other challenges, including the Crusades, which brought waves of Christian knights to the city. The Crusaders captured Jerusalem in 1099, leading to bloody conflicts and a dramatic shift in the city's religious landscape. Despite the turmoil, Jerusalem remained a center of faith and pilgrimage for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. The city's significance to all three Abrahamic religions is a testament to its unparalleled role in shaping the history of humanity. By the 11th century, Jerusalem was at the center of one of the most violent conflicts in history, the Crusades. Christian forces, seeking to reclaim the Holy Land, launched a brutal campaign against Muslim rulers. In 1099, the First Crusade reached Jerusalem, and after a bloody siege, the Crusaders captured the city. What followed was a massacre of Muslims and Jews, as the Christian knights declared victory. For nearly a century, Jerusalem remained under Christian rule, governed by the newly established Kingdom of Jerusalem. During this time, magnificent churches and fortifications were built, and Christian pilgrims from across Europe traveled to the city. However, Muslim forces did not abandon their claim. In 1187, the great Muslim leader Saladin recaptured Jerusalem, restoring Islamic rule, but allowing Christian pilgrims to visit peacefully. The Crusades did not end there. European powers launched several more campaigns, but they failed to secure permanent control of the city. By the 13th century, the Crusaders were gone, and Jerusalem fell under the rule of the Mamluks, a powerful Islamic dynasty from Egypt. Under the Mamluks, Jerusalem remained an important religious center, but was no longer a major political capital. Yet, its history was far from over. In the 16th century, a new empire would rise to shape Jerusalem's destiny, the Ottoman Empire. In 1517, Jerusalem became part of the vast Ottoman Empire under Sultan Selim I. The Ottomans ruled the city for over 400 years, bringing stability and grand architectural projects. One of their greatest legacies was the restoration of Jerusalem's walls, completed by Suleiman the Magnificent in the 16th century. These are the same walls that define the old city today. During this period, Jerusalem was a diverse yet small city, home to Jews, Christians, and Muslims living side by side. Though it was not a major political center, its religious significance remained unchanged. Pilgrims from all over the world continued to visit its sacred sites. However, by the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire weakened, and European powers began showing interest in the Holy Land. The British, French, and Russians sought influence in the region, and tensions grew between different religious communities. Then came a turning point. In 1917, during World War I, the British Army, led by General Edmund Allenby, captured Jerusalem from the Ottomans. The city now entered a new era of control under the British Mandate of Palestine. But the 20th century brought growing conflict, especially between Jews and Arabs, both of whom saw Jerusalem as their rightful home. By 1948, as the British prepared to leave, tensions exploded into open war. The city was divided, with West Jerusalem under Israeli control and East Jerusalem, including the Old City, under Jordanian rule. This division marked a new chapter in the struggle over Jerusalem, a struggle that continues to this day. From ancient kings to modern conflicts, Jerusalem's history is a testament to the power of faith, the struggles for control, and the resilience of its people. For over 3,000 years, it has been conquered, destroyed, and rebuilt, yet its significance has never faded. Today, Jerusalem remains a city at the heart of history, where the past and present intertwine. But its story is far from over. What does the future hold for this sacred land? Only time will tell. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories from the past that continue to shape our world.